Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today Toy Fair 2021. And now joining us on the other side of the screen, we have from Panda Mony Toys, Mr. Ryan Magnon. Ryan, how
Hello,
are you today?
doing all right. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. We got to meet last year when you guys officially launched the alternation line as part of Panda Mony, and I fell in love with the toys. You were kind enough to actually send me a batch, which we did a review of on the website here too. So anybody who's watching this, there's going to be a link. Make sure you check out the review of the toys after you hear this interview because you're going to like them, I think, just as much as I did. But yeah, Ryan, this has been a big year for you guys too. You guys were nominated for Toy of the Year. You got
Yeah.
a whole bunch of things happening. But before we talk too much about alternation, I just got to ask you this first question.
Uh-huh.
That's what is your favorite toy, or what was your favorite toy growing up?
Oh man, there's so many, and it's all different at different phases of my life. But I think the one that had the most influence on me, and you can see it in alternation, is the Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original '87 one. But I have to give honorable mention to Mask. That was just such a cool, fun
That's a
line
great
too.
one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So, yeah,
Yeah.
as we mentioned, Alternations has been nominated for Toy of the Year, which is a
Hmm.
really big thing. You guys are up against some pretty heavy hitters too. Now,
Yeah.
by the time this airs, the Toy of the Year awards will already be over, so we don't know as we're filming this who won it, who
Right.
didn't win it yet. But
Yeah.
still, even being nominated, that's amazing. So,
It
congratulations.
is. Yeah, it was a big it was I mean, we applied out of, just kind of due diligence and weren't really sure we would get it or not, but we believe in the product, so we're like, yeah, if it should be up there with it was one of the best action figures that were released last year, and yeah, lo and behold, we got the nomination. It was incredible. It was an incredible feeling, especially after such a difficult year, 2020. So just everything being uncertain, we weren't able to do any of the conventions and stuff, and it was just like bad news after bad news with regard to the company, and finally getting good news was quite a relief.
Yeah, did you ever think you'd be going toe to toe with Todd McFarlane?
No, not at all. Yeah, it's neat. So, and he actually follows us on Instagram, which was also quite an honor. It was
Well, that's the
cool.
dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the alternation figures. As I mentioned, I've already got my line, and I love Series One. So can you kind of run down for folks who are unfamiliar with it? What is
Sure.
Series One, and what's the story behind alternation?
The story of alternation is, we have these four part animal, part human superheroes. They all have real animal abilities. So, for example, there's an electric eel character that actually, it's part of his powers. So it's not just made up powers like psychics. Although, if you're a psychic out there, I don't mean to offend you. So it was we took animal inspired powers and put them into the toys, and that was the play feature as well. I'm getting sidetracked. The story is these guys, they were raised on a military base. They're led to believe that they were found in the wild. As the story progresses, they start to discover, well, everything's not what it seems. On top of that, they're facing villains that are threatening the world. Like there's some cybernetic soldiers that are angry that these animal characters, animal human freaks, as they would call them, are replacing them in the military. There's anarchist, terrorist kind of Mad Max inspired sort of villains. All kinds of. It's a really neat immersive world, and it's really merging a lot of what we liked about GI Joe, Ninja Turtles, and X Files or Stranger Things. It's that sort of X Files sort of universe where the military knows about what actually happened at Area 51, or they're looking into what kind of technology Atlantis had. So Atlantis, not Atlantist. So yeah, so we got that sort of world. Breaking down the characters, we've got El Rey. He's the leader. He's the highest ranking of our heroes. He's part electric eel, part manta ray, part human. His power is that he does use electricity quite a bit. We've got Quilroy, part porcupine, part bat, part rhino as well. So he's got a really thick skin. He's got these quills that shoot out, and that's his toy feature, is projectile quills. He also has echolocation ability in the comic. We have Albert Seven, part monkey, part bull, and his feature. He's the prankster of the group, and a lot of what we did with the toy there was to give a lot of fun accessories with that. So he actually has a mini whoopee cushion that works, and along with a squishy pie that he throws in bad guys' faces. He's got a giant mallet that shoots out a boxing glove, along with standard military issue weapons. We've got Sham. He's sort of he's not quite a regular member of the team. He knows a lot more than he's talking about that he'll let on. And he's part chameleon, part alligator and human. And his ability is he changes color. He has a tongue that can pick up objects in the toy. And he's sort of the gentleman spy of the group. And again, he's seen a lot of stuff and he knows a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. And then last we have Dart. He's part frog, part human, and his toy can do a backflip. He's the youngster of the group. He's still kind of learning his way around and kind of the little brother of the group. He gets picked on quite a bit.
And did we mention the big bad guy in this as well yet?
Oh, we haven't. Yeah. So for villains, we have in the first sort of season, we'll say first arcs, we have Sabotage. He's a disgruntled military veteran who was enhanced by the military with cybernetics and cyborg limbs and things. But the military, they just couldn't spend all the money that it took to create a nuclear powered super soldier robot. He's upset about that, and instead of relying on them, he starts building himself up. He works on his own robotics, and he's turned himself into quite a powerhouse, and he's seeking revenge on the hybrid heroes, and he's also working to expose the powers that be as well. We also have Alpha, who was the first military experiment in hybrid heroes, and it went wrong, and he's probably the strongest. He is actually far and above the strongest hybrid of them all. He's this giant dragon part. He looks like a dragon, he's not literally a dragon, but he's lizard, he's killer whale, he's poison octopus. He's got like every animal feature you can think of in one, and he flies on top of that. So you probably do not want a poisonous lizard man flying at you, with his 8 arms. Definitely dangerous. And his whole thing is that he sort of sees, he's like the Magneto almost. He sees hybrids as like the next step in to surpass humanity, and that he feels he's superior and all that sort of stuff. So he has this sort of he comes off as very much a Dracula character, where he's building these acolytes to kind of prey on the humans.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I loved about these toys too was all the accessories, and you went like so overboard with the amount of accessories. I loved it. Like Quilroy especially, like I was shocked he's such a big figure, but he came with so much stuff. It was wonderful.
Right.
And again, like Sham, some of my favorite accessories. Albert 7, lots of great accessories. We didn't even mention he's got that machine gun with a literal banana clip on it. I love that.
Right.
Like so many great little things about these toys. So yeah, I'm kind of curious though about, in terms of production and producing these types of toys, this is a small run, it's a smaller company, but you're putting so many accessories into that. I mean, how do you manage to keep your cost down while also not going, insane and throwing it back at the customer?
Yeah, the costs are razor thin margins, but we believe that if we can build enough audience and turn over enough inventory, we could of course produce more quantities. But the other big thing is we don't have to worry about a license. So somebody like if you make a Batman toy, you got to pay DC or whomever to part of every single unit you sell, you got to give them a nickel or a dime, I don't know. So that extra nickel and dime goes into the product, so that we have.
And not only are there a ton of accessories, you guys also have a mini comic in every single toy, which is like, again, I didn't even know it came with the comic. When I first got it, I was like, there's comics too? Like there's so much with these toys. And I love the fact that you guys are doing the throwback to the comics, because like no one does it anymore. And back in the 80s, early 90s, you see it like with Dino Riders. That was like, I think one of the first comics I ever had was a Dino Riders comic that came with a toy. Or, the Kenner Aliens line, same thing. They had a little mini comic too. So I love that you guys here, 2021, are doing mini comics with action figures.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of necessity is the mother of invention. We knew, like, we were a new company, and like Disney's not going to make a cartoon for us or something like that. We knew we had to get the story out somehow. These are all very cerebral, as some one of my team members put it. It's much more. You have to kind of get into the story before you'll have an affinity for the characters that by themselves. It's not entirely gimmick driven. Like I don't know. I can't even think of a good example. You get the idea. A lot of toys outside of the action figure category, it's kind of like, oh, we just made a gimmick and kids will like it just based on that. We don't need a cartoon. We did take a note from some of those older brands, like Mask did it as well, He-Man, and Superpower, which was funny. Superpowers did it, and they actually already had comics. So yeah, that was kind of the idea. We knew we had to get the story out. We also wanted it to be a complete story, so it's not just kind of like here's their powers, here, buy the toy kind of thing. It was more of a like you're getting a comprehensive story. So it is an entire arc, even though each issue is self-contained. And we also didn't want you to have to buy all the toys to get the comics, so we put digital versions on the web. And so you get your collector's edition with the toy, you get the online version with the web. You know, everybody's happy.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I like that the alternation website is very, very interactive as well, because you guys have animated stuff in it as well. You have the comic you mentioned, and I know you guys are trying to continue the story of the alternation characters. So you now are doing like some text adventures.
We are. Well, I'd call them short stories. This was, again, throwback to childhood. For kids who grew up in the 80s or 90s, we were kind of thinking, well, remember like scary stories that to tell in the dark? It was just like very short stories, but it was fun. You had a neat illustration. Same with like R.L. Stein books, Goosebumps, Goosebump, not, yeah, Goosebumps. Yeah, that's what it's called. Um, but yeah, it was just kind of, we wanted to do something to where so we kind of thought, well, we could do an anthology short story so it was very digestible. You don't have to, pick up an entire novel like a Harry Potter book or something. But even Harry Potter's a great example of a franchise that grew for kids out of text. And again, it's necessity being the mother of invention. We have demands for content faster than we can possibly produce more animation, because just animation takes longer. So it's like, what can we do for the fans to give them more, and even let kids act out the stories with their toys, So that's what we did. That's where we landed on these short stories. I'm very excited about them. The first thing we did, first one we released, was with our fan club, which anybody listening, they can sign up on alternation.toys/club. We do a fan club mailing every month where we actually send physical letters, and that's, again, the whole theme of this show is necessity is the mother of invention. I'm going to keep saying that, or should. But anyway, keeping with that theme, there's laws against emailing kids, and we said, well, we always got stuff in the mail when we were kids. Why don't we do that again? And so we started the Agent Auxiliary Fan Club for Alternation. Everybody that signs up gets a little patch. They're an official member, and every month we send them little sort of like activities that you'd find in a highlights book, or like the back of a cereal box or something like that. And then 3 months ago, we started including the short stories.
Yeah, I think the story of alternation toys is really just the fact that it's been, not to use the word in a negative way at all, but you guys have been very aggressive. You guys have been pushing very hard to find very innovative, different ways to get the products out there. So yeah, doing the letter writing campaign is amazing. I love all the content on the website. And the other thing with Panda Mony Toys is during this Nerd News Today Toy Fair, we're talking to a lot of smaller companies in addition to the big guys. But most of those smaller companies, they basically are supported by either a Kickstarter or online purchases only. Panda Mony toys, alternation figures, I've actually seen in specialty stores sometimes, which I don't see that with some of the other companies out there. So why the choice to actually go out there and sell to retail spaces? Why not just keep it online, keep it tight like that, not worry about those kinds of things, not worry about selling, having marketing people? Why the choice to actually try and get it into stores?
Just to, it's again going back to just trying to increase the volume and increase the awareness. So, I mean, I kind of see the toys being on the shelf as like another ad, but you don't have to pay for it, and hopefully you get money out of it. I mean, you do. I get money out of it because they actually have already bought it before they put it on the shelf. But hopefully they don't return it or whatever. But yeah, I see it as it's almost like it's a billboard with all the other toys, So that was part of it, and then I just wanted to increase the volume in order to keep costs down for the consumer.
So you mentioned earlier in this interview, we talked about some of the characters. You mentioned Alpha, and that was, I believe, it was supposed to be Alpha and different characters that were part of Wave 2. So,
Correct.
Are there any updates about Wave 2?
Wave 2, we put it on hold just because the coronavirus was just so uncertain. We're hoping to get it out the end of this year. So everything's already ready to go, other than we just haven't pulled the trigger on production. So what that means is the models are completely done. Once production starts is when we start actually making the molds and all that stuff. So it's all ready to go. It's just going to depend on how sales are continuing to grow. We actually just hired a new VP of sales that's doing a really great job in getting the product placed everywhere.
So we know Wave 2 had a few characters in it at this point, but are there any other plans for characters beyond those two that we already know about?
Yeah, if you pick up the new Dark Horse graphic novel, you'll see a preview. Possibly, I don't want to give away the ending, but there might be some new hybrids in there, and some new villains. So yeah, pick up the Dark Horse alternation. The title is "They Hide Hybrids."
And it's so cool too that you guys have support from a Dark Horse comic as well. I mean, you guys are just pushing so hard. It's amazing. I love hearing the story of Panda Mony because it's got such a great story.
Well, thanks a lot. We worked really, really hard. We're really busting our butts. We'll say I don't know if this is a kids show, but I'm a kids toy company owner. I shouldn't swear. I guess I don't know.
We'll keep it like that. Yeah, that's
Keep
fine.
it. Yeah, we'll keep it G-rated or PG. I don't know. But yeah,
Whatever we're doing here.
we're doing that. We're also we want to expand beyond just action figures, and we're working on 2 more brands that, you know, I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about them too much, but they are in different toy spaces, 2 different toy categories.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess you can't really talk much about it. So I don't know how much I can pry into it, but I was going to ask, are you guys planning any new IPs or are these continuations of alternation?
These are brand new, 2 brand new IPs. Yeah. So they probably won't need as much content because they're aimed at like we talked about, where there's more gimmicky toys or educational toys that don't necessarily need a cartoon behind them. But everything we do has a story anyway. So if it doesn't just have to be like content as a marketing thing. If somebody wanted to make a cartoon out of this toy we're making, go for it. So there's that. And then also we're starting to get into distribution. So we've created a second arm of our company that just handles distribution for other products. So we're starting to venture into that. Actually, your fans might be interested. We're distributing some Power Rangers, some G.I. Joe figurines, things like that.
So really expanding different positions as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we need to, because there's always, in the toy industry, this advice for any budding toy industry entrepreneur, you always have to keep thinking about what's the next thing. How are we going to get money for 3 years from now? Not just when the kids grow up, basically, is what it is. There's a point where kids start to pay attention to we'll just say their hormones instead of toys as much, and so like you just lost a generation of fans there.
So that's what happened to my hormones. That explains everything.
That's why you stopped collecting toys, and then all of a sudden, like years later, you're like, yeah, I kind of want to collect toys again. It happened to me too.
Very true. Very true. So for any people in our audience today who want to check out Alternation, want to check out Panda Mony toys, how can they do that?
Pandamony.toys is the website. Alternation.toys to see alternation, to go straight to alternation specifics. On the alternation site, you can, like I said, sign up for the fan club. Like Matthew said, there's comics and videos on there. And there's also some web games. And all the basically we put all the content in the central hub at alternation.toys.
So yeah, you guys definitely want to check this out. Just not even as a toy itself. The toys are amazing, but the story behind the company is even more amazing. And the fact that you guys are continuing to grow, expand, do different things, take risks. I really wish you guys the best. It's no wonder that you got that Toy of the Year nomination. And again, we don't know if you won it or yet by the time this video's come out, but I hope you did. Even if you didn't, still big things are coming. And if you didn't get it this year, it's going to be yours another time around. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was quite an honor, and thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And yeah, if anybody wants to, we have a contact form on the website. I get all the emails, so yeah, anybody wants to reach out, feel free. I try to be an open book with everybody.
I think you definitely are. You're an open comic book, we'll say. We'll go in line with the alternation figures. Well, Ryan, thank you so much. Thanks for talking to us about alternation and telling us about Panda Mony toys. I hope you guys at home will check it out. So that's our interview right now with Ryan, but stick around because there is still more to come from Nerd News Today's Toy Fair 2021. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Matthew.